My name is Musa Adnan, that's Sifu Abdul Malik, this is ReRooted, and here's what we have coming up next.
As a child growing up in the 70s, you had to know how to fight. You know what I mean? You just had to know how to fight. And the way how our dad raised us is that we could never come home and say we got beat up by anybody. There's a Chinese saying, which I will teach you.
Okay.
Sambating, kunbating. Means if your heart ain't straight, your fist won't be straight. So what he was doing, he was checking my heart.
SubhanAllah, that's in line with Islam. One of the things I found very inspirational about you when I heard your story is how you became like this Dawa machine, if I can say it. Where like you're giving Dawa to you know, if I'm not mistaken, you even gave Dawa to Yip Man's son, right? Yip Ching.
Yeah,
you like handed him a Quran in Cantonese and stuff like Allahu Akbar, it's a big deal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. It's amazing to have you in the building, Sifu Abdul Malik.
Alhamdulillah, amazing. Well, alhamdulillah.
I think I need to give some context behind this. So firstly, I'm not saying seafood. So we need to clarify what Sifu is firstly. And secondly as well, I want to give some context behind this happening. So I was actually invited to an event to host yourself speaking.
Okay.
And I have to say, like, before the event, I didn't know who you were. I didn't really know much about Wing Chun, other than it's just a martial art. When I went to that event, I was like blown away with your story. Now I was sitting next to you and I was like, SubhanAllah, this is a deep story. I need to get this on ReRooted. And like, just to put it out there, brothers and sisters, this story includes crazy stuff. You know, it includes moments of extreme emotion, moments of Chinese, actually, Allahu Akbar, which we're gonna go into, moments of, you know, being with Yip Man's son, who of course even currently is very, very famous. Yip Man himself, famous for teaching Bruce Lee, you learning Wing Chun, becoming a Muslim, Dawa, all of it. We're gonna cover it in this story, inshallah ta'ala. So I guess where I would want to start the first point off is I want to start by asking you about your upbringing. You know, how would you describe your upbringing right now? Of course, Sifu. What is Sifu? Firstly, I think that's the first thing we should start with. What is Sifu?
Okay, Sifu is, if I break it down from the Chinese perspective, first of all, the Sifu, it comes from two syllables. The first syllable, Si, comes from the word Lo Si, which means teacher, and the Fu comes from the word Fu Chan, which means father. Okay. Right. So when you translate, it means teacher, father, right? And so when you see in Chinese culture, a martial arts Sifu is like a father to his students. And then what happens is that when he takes on a student, they use the word sao todai, mean he adopts the student. Right, so he takes on the student, and the student becomes a todai, which loosely translated means student, but it doesn't actually mean that. It means a follower, almost like a disciple. And then his job is to pass on his skills, right, to that particular individual, so he can pass it on to the next generation. And usually he would choose a successor, and that person will take the art forward onto the next person, into the next generation, so on and so forth, and keep it as authentic as he can do that. You know, so that's what the Sifu means. But Sifu is anyone could be a Sifu in Chinese, in his culture, right? You could be a chef, and you're known as a master chef, because the translation could mean master. You could be a builder, and it's a master builder, or a carpenter, master carpenter. So they're all known as Sifus in the Chinese culture. But the martial arts Sifu is given special honor, right? Even to the extent of, you know, a president, you know what I mean? He's really respected in the Chinese community when you're a martial arts Sifu. You know, even for me, sometimes when I go, there's some Chinese restaurants that I go to, and when I first started learning Cantonese, and the people still remember me, they will address me as Sifu, even though I don't teach them, because the Sifu was like a title, like you might say, call someone Sheikh or something like this. You know what I mean? So it's a title of honor and respect as well.
So I'm sure some people are going to be thinking, what is going on here? You know, so I do need to give like an introduction. Sifu Abdul Malik is actually a Wing Chun practitioner. You're a teacher.
Alhamdulillah.
You teach Wing Chun at
Alhamdulillah.
a professional level. I think probably the most professional level.
Alhamdulillah.
You studied directly under Yip Man's son,
Alhamdulillah. Yes.
based in Hong Kong.
Yes.
You learnt Cantonese to do that, which
Alhamdulillah.
we're going to go into later on even more. And you actually ended up becoming a Muslim along the course of your journey.
Alhamdulillah. Yes.
So, first of all, to find out some context behind your journey, please tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Well, upbringing. Well, I was raised in a Christian family.
Okay.
You know, my family, not just my mum and dad, but my whole family. They're a difference between Pentecostal and 7 Days Adventists, and most of my family are from the clergy. They're very up there.
Okay, so they're high up.
Yeah. I've got cousins who are pastors, you know, and who are similar to an imam or something like that. You know, so we wasn't just someone like who were Christian just for the sake of being Christian. We practiced the religion.
Wow.
So this is how we was raised. But my particular household, right, even though we was that way, my father was a very, very strict disciplinarian. I mean, if you know anything about West Indian families, right, you know, it's going to be strict.
It goes down.
Yeah, it goes down. You know, it's your dad's way or the highway, sort of thing, right? So even though we was Christian, my dad was always raised us to have manners, you know, and you know, always to be in education and things like this. So that was my upbringing, right, as a child. But later on, as I grew up into my teens, right, as far as belief is concerned, right, I started to question certain things, right, and I started to sort of like lean more towards the Jehovah's Witnesses way of doing things.
Okay.
Right, and they were showing from their Bible. They're very Bible based. They're showing from their Bible, right, that you know Jesus is subordinate to God, and he's not. There's no such thing as a Trinity, and they were coming from that sort of like, and it made a lot of sense to me. So I was following that way for the longest time, much to the upset of my families, you know, because they were very staunch Seventh Day Adventists or Pentecostal.
Okay.
So that is the belief side of it. And even though I was with the Jehovah's Witnesses, I had a bit of a problem because as a child growing up in the 70s, you had to know how to fight. You know what I mean? You just had to know how to fight. And the way how our dad raised us is that we could never come home and say we got beat up by anybody, because his attitude was, listen, look, if you get beat up by someone and come home and tell me that you've lost, then I'm gonna give it to you. So there's no such thing you're getting beaten up.
Yeah.
Right. So we had, you know, to fight. And I had a very bad temper, you know, in those times, right? So I was always fighting.
You don't come across as someone who would have had a bad temper.
Alhamdulillah. But yeah, it was pretty bad in those days, you know. And around that time, right in the 70s, there's this TV program called Kung Fu, and I was amazed by, you know, even though it was David Carradine, and you look at the stuff now, there's nothing amazing there, but I was amazed at how he can throw people out all over the place. I said, so I've got to learn some of this stuff. But at the time, there was nothing as far as Kung Fu is concerned. I mean, if there was Kung Fu in the 70s, then they were only teaching it to Chinese.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if you happen to get into one of those classes, you was way at the back somewhere. So me and my brother got into Tae Kwon Do, right?
Okay.
Which we got involved in that, and I was, you know, I got pretty good at that particular martial arts system for a while, and I was going forward like that, you know, with the Tae Kwon Do.
So you're not a Muslim at this point?
Not a Muslim at this time at all,
Okay.
because this is still childhood, you know, going into early teens,
Okay.
you know, and things like that. So obviously, well, I'm just being raised, you know, as a Christian. Who knew some martial arts, and at the time I'm linking with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm more, you know, influenced by that way.
Okay.
However, because of my nature, which is my point I'm coming to, right, is that I had problems with with some of the doctrines, and one of them, right, wasn't even so much the actual doctrines, but just verses. The main one was turning the other cheek. I just could not do that because of my nature, my temper, and someone hitting me, and I'm just sitting there, you just hit me all day long. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So even though I followed the whole witness way for a long time, I never ever got baptized because of this. Because the attitude was like, listen, you'd have to give up the martial arts.
So is it safe to say like there was some confusion there on your part? Because if someone says, okay, I'm a Jehovah's Witness,
Yeah.
and then at the same time though, they're like, yeah, but I don't want to get baptized. I don't want to go that deep. It's like kind of, you know, there's like a barrier there, you know, from fully kind of adopting that kind of thought process. Is that how your experience was with it?
It was. It was for that, but it was also a sacrifice that I couldn't do, you know, because of my nature, you know what I mean, of not and the way I was raised, right, of not having anyone feel they can disrespect me and that be okay. Now, what was coming across from the teachings, right, of Christianity, right, is that someone hits you, let them do it, right, and I just couldn't do that. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, they were pushing it further, because yes, I was feeling, I'm ready to get baptized, but they said, listen, you got to give up the martial arts. You know, you got to stop the martial arts, otherwise we can't baptize you.
And you're like, forget that.
And I feel like I can't. So I continued going to the, you know, they allow you to go to the Kingdom Hall and worship and study with them and stuff like this, in the hope that one day you would change. So I did that for many, many years, you know, and obviously eventually I thought, okay, then I've got this martial arts, but it's not really going to be a living. What do I really want to do, right, for my career? So I thought, you know, people need to eat. Well, I'll become a chef, right? So I after I finished college, I started training as a chef.
Yeah.
More problems happen there, because if you've seen anything in any of these sort of like Gordon Ramsay type kitchens,
he treats his
staff like dirt, like dirt, you know. And in one particular restaurant I was working, I won't mention where it was, because it's actually quite a prestigious one. It very prestigious, right? But the way how the chef was speaking to me, I thought to myself, look at this, there's all this hot fat here, there's knives. You can't be talking to me like that, you know. So I said, I've got to get out. I've got to get out of here. So I got out of that one. You know, I just got out of that one. Then I thought,
would you say, sorry to interrupt, like, would you say your temper was that bad at that point in time, at that point in life, where you could really kind of, you know, like be pushed to do something that you don't want to do?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I tell you that now, right? I'm not. Alhamdulillah, you got to know yourself, right? And you know, I'm going to say it's still there, you know, but I can manage it, alhamdulillah, right? And Islam's given me ways to manage it. But in that time, right, it's a situation, right, where I could feel myself going, and I had to get out of there, you know. And this happened with every job that I had, you know, every job that I went to, I felt that I was being disrespected in some way, right? And I had to sort of like, I had to move on from that particular job, you know what I mean? And so I realized from a very young age that I cannot work for anybody, because I can't have people talking to me in a certain way. Another thing was racism. One job I lost, right, because the boss told me straight, listen, look, you know, we didn't want 2 black people working for us, and you had to go. Right?
That's craziness.
And again, the red mist came up, and you know, I won't go and say what happened, but
you had to deal with that situation.
I just had to deal with it, right? I had to deal with it, and I ended up there. I said, I'll never work for anyone again, and since then I never have.
Do you think it was like the climate, the time that you were living in, where it was just like people, there was racism, and it's a thing where people just weren't treating you in the right way because of your skin color?
See, it was a time as well, right, where it was okay to be racist. Even now, right, I mean, obviously now, right, you know, it's not PC, you know, right, you know, but in those times, right, I mean, God, even the stuff on TV, you had the black and white minstrel show, you know, you had, you know, some of the stuff you saw on TV, right, was really, really, really racist. But on a real level, what was the real racism, right, was the National Front, you know. And I took one of my worst beatings, you know, as a young kid, from a 15-year-old kid, from one of them, you know.
For no reason.
for no reason, just for the mere fact that I was, you know,
Subhanallah.
I'm a black guy walking in their territory. And obviously, for me, again, my temper, I had too much mouth, you know. But I got one of my most serious beatings. And from that beating, I said, that can never happen to me again. That cannot happen to me again. But it was, you know, that's what it was, you know. It was a very, very violent time. Like I said, you had to know how to fight, you know what I mean? You just had to.
So does Islam come into your story first or Wing Chun?
Wing Chun comes into my story first.
Okay, so how did you end up, you know, becoming interested in Wing Chun and training in that?
Well, two ways, right? The first way, right, was even though I thought I was quite proficient in a combat sense, you know. I mean, when it came right to competitions, you know, I had no problem. When it came to street fights, you know, and in school, I had no problems. Alhamdulillah, I was never a bully. I hated bullies. Even though I had this temper, people, you might think that you want to fight everybody. But, you know, because of alhamdulillah, the way my dad raised us, right, we were not troublemakers. So I was never a bully. I used to be in school, right, the one who used to beat up the bullies. That was my thing, right? But what happened was, right, is that one time, even though I could quite handle myself, I was introduced to this guy who knew some Wing Chun. And I think my friends put us together because they thought, listen, you know how to fight. This guy knows how to fight. Let's see what happens, right? So we had a little spar, little light spar, and I couldn't get near him. I just could not get near him.
Okay.
And at the time, I tried to justify and say, like I say, it was a draw. But because of my nature, I said, listen, no, he actually could have beat me. He was just playing with me, you know. And at that point, I said, listen, look, I need to learn this system now. But at the time, there wasn't much Wing Chun about. If you was going to learn Wing Chun at the time, there was only about 4 people in the whole of London, you know, that was teaching Wing Chun, and they were all Chinese, you know, and mainly teaching Chinese people. So I had to wait for a little bit longer. Yeah. And then at the age of about 17, in 1982, I saw this program called The Way of the Warrior. And on there was a Sifu on there. I won't mention his name. And then after that, seeing that program, I said, listen, look, enrolled me and my brother, and we started studying Wing Chun under that particular Sifu. Okay. I did 8 years with him. Wow. I did 8 years with him from 82 to 1990. Became one of his top instructors, opened schools for him in Ponders End.
So you started teaching as well? And
I started teaching from as early as 87. Okay. You know, under his banner.
5 years later, you started.
Yeah. Because I mean, when it came to the Wing Chun, I really immersed myself into it because, you know, this is all I had. You know, I just had just the Wing Chun, and from the Wing Chun, it led me into employment, which was security employment. Because in those days, right, if there wasn't nothing, you need a badge, you know, to do security. All you need to do is be able to put your hands up. So I managed to get a job doing security in certain sort of like nightclub establishments, right? And so I was working for myself, you know, as doing security, and that's how I went forward. But after a certain period of time with that particular Sifu, I realised I wasn't going to go any further with him, and we just parted company. I said, listen, look, if I'm going to go forward with this Wing Chun, I'm not going to learn it from anyone in London here. To the level that I want to, I'm gonna have to go and learn it from the source. Okay. And then I made a plan to do that. The plan was I got to learn the Cantonese language because most of the Sifus, if not all of them, actually all the Sifus, the top Sifus in Hong Kong and China don't speak the language. So I got to acquire the language. So then I started the Cantonese language. Okay.
So you don't have to speak Chinese?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah. And I studied in a number of places. I studied with my first teacher, still a very good friend of mine, called Victor Apaya, and he's an African guy, right? He's African fellow, right? And his Cantonese is amazing, right? I mean, he lived in China, right, for many years, so he's Cantonese. The tones, everything. Right? If you didn't see his face, you'd think that he was Chinese. There's no accent at all. And anyway, I studied with him, right, for about 3 years. And then and completed his course, and then from there I started studying with his teacher.
So you went like in depth into the Chinese.
I went seriously into it. I studied at 2 universities, one with his teacher, and another one at the Mary Ward College. It was a university with another teacher.
Wow, so you took this thing seriously?
Really seriously, because I didn't have the funds yet, right, to go to Hong Kong. So I thought I've got to study here. So I was studying there. I studied at 2 universities. Then what I did, I took a voluntary job at a Chinese community centre in Hackney. Just working in the kitchens, right? Just washing plates, right? So I could speak to people in Cantonese. And as I sit with the elderly people, just talk to them, right? Just to, you know, get fluent in that way.
So what would you say if I said to you, "Lasik Chow Fan Mei"?
I would say "Mei." Lasik Chow Fan Mei obviously means have you eaten yet? But also, it's a way of saying hello as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's a way of saying hello.
Because
yeah, go on. Because
I was gonna say, like, before you came, so I went around the office. I'm a bit of an office nuisance sometimes, you know. Sorry, you know. But I went around the office, and one of the sisters that actually works with us, she's Chinese. She's a Reverts sister, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
So and she speaks Cantonese. So I asked her, you know, tell me something funny to say.
Yeah.
You know, and then
you're trying to test me, eh?
Yeah. No, I was like, and then we basically came up. Say, have you eaten? Because it's like there's this like philosophy behind that even statement. Fan means rice.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it's eaten so much.
Yeah.
That the Chinese they say they
have
just
you
refer to
rice
dinner as rice, basically.
They call it sik fan. It means rice. But you have to be careful how you say that. You know what I mean?
Okay. How comes? Because could I get like hurt for saying that?
Yeah, because fan. If you got to say, if you say it with the wrong tone, fan. If you say fun, right? Fun means powder.
Okay. Well, like bad powder.
But the bad powder, yeah.
Okay.
So as a slang, when you're speaking to a Chinese person, right, you might think you mean something else because when they
have you basically been have you been on drugs basically?
Yeah, that's basically that's what it would mean. Because, you know, because when you because with Chinese, right, everything is eaten. Even when they say you're gonna smoke, they say they sick you in. Have you eaten smoke? Right, so that's why if you say they sick fun, it means right.
So it's like more consumed, basically.
Yeah,
kind of.
But what I was saying before, right, is that to say sick fun is a way of saying hello to someone. You know, how are you doing? Because obviously once you eat and you feel nice, right? So it's sick fun, yeah. So that's how when they say, right, you know, it's like they say hello to someone on a colloquial level.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I was trying to set up this whole basically podcast just so I could say that to you.
Did you know, actually, I was very impressed. Very impressed.
What do you think of my pronunciation?
Yes, it's, you know.
Lasik Chow Fan Mei.
Meya.
Lasik Chow Fan Mei.
Yeah. When you Meya, right, it makes it into a question.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, very good.
Okay.
But you know, be careful because when I first learned Cantonese, it was like that. You know, I say a sentence.
Did you ever say anything to someone where they were like, who do you think you are, kind of thing? Like, what are you doing? Where they give you like,
have I made a mistake?
Reaction? Yeah.
Have I made a mistake? No.
Like a bad mistake.
No, you know what happened is either they're going to correct you or they're just going to be happy that you spoke to them in the language. I've never come across any Chinese person when I've spoken Cantonese, even if I've spoken it badly, someone will say, "Look, what are you trying to say?" You know?
We got so much to talk about, subhanAllah, but I need to quickly tell you this one. Yeah. Where one of my friends, we were learning Arabic together, alhamdulillah. This is when I was studying Arabic, and one of my friends, he was trying to say to my teacher, like, "Are you okay?" or something like that. He was trying to say like, "No, are you angry with me?" That's what he was trying to say. He was trying to say, "Are you angry with me?"
Okay.
So he's learning Arabic, and he says to my teacher, he says to my teacher, "Hal anta majnoon?" Yeah.
That's why you crazy.
Yeah. So
are you crazy?
He's like, "Are you crazy?"
No.
And that's like bad. You know, majnoon. The guy who's junoon is like the guy is like cracked in his head.
Well, Cantonese, you can make mistakes like that. You can make mistakes like that. But because there's so many words. It's so close to the mark if you're saying wrong.
So could you speak some Chinese for us, basically? Like, say anything, like.
I always get asked this question. You know,
I'm sure it's normal for you now. Anything. They're not gonna understand it anyway, so you could just say.
Okay,
Okay, what does that mean?
I don't speak Cantonese.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So like, I had to touch upon that because I found that like amazing. You know, just the fact that, you know, even if you like it's anyone who's not Chinese speaking, because Chinese seems like such a hard language. But like getting back to the story.
Yeah.
So you're learning Cantonese, and you're not a Muslim yet, even when you're learning Cantonese.
No, not Muslim yet.
So
no, not Muslim yet.
When do you end up becoming a Muslim?
I end up becoming a Muslim. Say about say about a couple of years after that.
Okay.
A couple of years after that, because see, it's through the Cantonese I get to obviously to get more closer to my goal in sort of like
Wing Chun.
Get into the Wing Chun, and then from the Wing Chun, that's where the Islam came.
Okay,
right?
how so?
Because once I acquired some Cantonese, you know, and I was able to, you know, converse on a basic level, and then which you probably go back to. I managed to get to meet my present Sifu now, who's Yip Ching, and get to Hong Kong. Obviously, people started to hear about me. You know what I mean? And then one of the good brother, right, brother called Lukman, right, at the time I wasn't Muslim. He came to my school. He heard about my school, and he's already a Wing Chun guy, and he came to my school, and to come and see me. He says, "Oh, we heard about you. You did Wing Chun. I just want to visit you and give my respects as one Wing Chun Sifu to another. Is that okay?" So yeah, no problem. Come along. So and that was strange for me, because just a couple of years ago we had another Wing Chun Sifu come down to my school and challenge me to try and close my school. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know, but so anyway, he's a Muslim. He came in. I thought maybe is he really want to come and be my friend? But it turned out that was the case, and we became very, very, very close. We used to practice together and work out together. And then one minute he brought up the subject about my belief. He said, "Okay, so you're Christian?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Christian." I said, "You're Muslim?" He said, "Yeah, I'm Muslim." And then we started discussing, you know, certain things, and then we always used to agree to disagree.
Okay.
You know, I never knew enough about Islam. He never knew enough about Christianity, and he couldn't show me why I should believe in my way, and I couldn't show him why I should believe in his way. So this went on for a while, for about a year of this, and then I started to question myself, right? Not so much on what he said, is more on what is that he believed what he said. So I said, wait a minute, I mean, this man believes what he believes so much. What if he's right and I'm wrong? You know what I mean?
Like he's so firm.
Yeah, he's so firm
on religion.
He's so firm, and he's so sincere about it. You know, he's so sincere. You know, he wasn't just there to just make me feel bad for being a Christian. Right? He was really sincerely believing what he believed. Right? So I said, listen, wait a minute, I need to just find out what it is he's on. Right? Why does he believe it so much? So then I started to do some research on Islam myself, and I went into it at first to try and find faults in it. You know, it's purely to find faults in it.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah, that was me, to try and find fault of it, because my first one was like, Islam was a religion that tried to copy Christianity in some way. You know what I mean? And they stole our prophets, right? And they put and that was my attitude. But the more I read up on it, the more I liked. Right, and after a while, I mean, certain changes that I did in my life wasn't really that much, because before Islam, I already stopped eating pork.
Okay.
Already stopped eating pork. Before Islam, I already went and got a circumcision. I'm going to go and get it. You know what I mean? So all these things were there already.
Yeah.
My conduct and the way I carried myself as a man, alhamdulillah, right, and the way how my parents raised me, that was already there. Yeah. You know, so the only thing I did was put this thing on my head, right? Okay. Really, right. So, but I started, you know, trying to, you know, flex a bit more like a Muslim. Started trying to wear some, you know, Arabized type clothing and stuff like this, and tried to look more the part. Because at that time I lost touch with Lukman, and we never. And I think at that time, if he had come to me and said, "Listen, look, you know, there's this thing called a shahada," I would have taken it straight away at that time. Okay. You know what I mean? But no one at that point was giving me any dawah. It was just my own research, and I didn't know about a shahada or anything like this. So I just tried to move like a Muslim.
Did you start praying as well?
No, because I didn't. No one. Oh, you didn't know? No one didn't teach me anything about praying and salah. The stuff I read about Islam wasn't the thing about the 5 pillars and stuff like that. I knew there was a 5 pillars, but I wasn't going into it. I just wanted to just find out what did you believe. That was what it was all about, really. And this thing about believing in the one true God who has no partners really appealed to me. Okay. Right. And that's what I said. And that wasn't a far cry from what I was believing before with Jehovah's Witnesses, where Jesus, right, wasn't the God, part of a Godhead. You know, he's a subordinate to God. So I thought this is just the same thing, really, just a bit more in depth. So this is how I went. But then about a year later after that, alhamdulillah, I had some Muslim students come to my school.
Okay.
And a brother called Shamim, and they said, you know, we like to train with you, but just us group as a Muslim group, you know, would you do that? I said, yeah, you can train privately. I'll give you some time at this time. We come and train. And so they come down and train with me for about a year. And then after a while, they were looking how I was rolling as a person. And then one day he came up to me and said, he said, Sifu, you know, are you a Muslim? And I said, no, I'm not a Muslim. He goes, well, you've got a lot of Islamic, you know, sort of like qualities, the way how you roll, you know, the way you carry yourself, you know, we just like the way how you move. I mean, have you thought about a shahada? I said, what's that? Then he explained what it was, and the next thing you know, alhamdulillah, I was taking my shahada.
On the spot?
On the spot, yeah.
Allahu Akbar, wow.
Yeah, it's like that, yeah.
So you were that convinced already that you were just like, I didn't even know about this. If I knew about this, I would have done it.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's all it was. It didn't take much convincing or anything like this. You know, like now, if I do give Dawa, right, then I have to go for articles of faith. But what it is now, there wasn't any of that because I already believed it all.
Wow.
You know, I already believed it all. So I just need someone to just do that with me. So
what was the main thing that made you convinced of Islam? Like before you had even taken your shahada, what would you say, like thinking back, was the main thing that made you that convinced, that made you lose your faith in Christianity and made you think, oh, you know what, even if I heard about my shahada, now I'm taking it?
It's the same thing as it is to this day, right?
Okay.
It's not changed. It's not changed at all. It's just sort of ikhlas.
Wow.
That was it for me.
Allahu Akbar.
You know, when I read that for the first time in English, I thought, and that was in English because I said, that's it.
That's amazing, because the way that surah is actually described is that it's like a third of the Quran. It's a third of the Quran. Its value is a third of the Quran because of the message it comes with. If you think about it, that is the core, fundamental, prime message of Islam. Tawheed. Qul huwa Allahu ahad.
Yeah.
That say He is Allah, the one.
Yeah.
You know, He begets not, nor is He begotten. All of that. That's all Tawheed. SubhanAllah. So,
and this is what I believed before. You know, before I became got involved with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
It was opposite to that, right? I would believe that, you know, that He did beget. You know what I mean? You know, so this
was like the nail in the coffin.
This is the nail in the coffin, right? This is the missing jigsaw piece.
SubhanAllah.
You know what I mean? I thought that's what's missing.
Allahu
you know
Akbar.
I mean? And obviously, when you read the rest of the surah, right? You know what
Yes.
I mean? And you kind of liken nothing to Him. Well, of course, you know, how can you like anything to God? You know what I mean? So I thought this is, you can't refute that.
And this iERA is what we call unveiling the fitrah.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, like you had your fitrah within you so much, so deeply entrenched, and you were trying to bring it to life with the Christianity that you had before. It didn't work.
No.
The whole Jehovah Witness movement and that notion, that belief, made more sense to your fitrah than what you were on before. So you adopted that.
That's right. Yeah.
And then when you came to the actual, you know, kind of light, you know, the nur of the true tawheed, your fitrah was complete. Like, this is it. This is the nail in the coffin.
It hit me like a Wing Chun center line punch on the nose. It's a bang like this.
I won't appreciate what that is, but I'm sure it's powerful.
And I thought to myself, listen, I can't get out of the way of this. This is it. And I thought to myself, it wasn't even a thought, right? It was just it was just like, what am I doing? Doing this, you know? What am I doing? Just doing this, you know? Just that way of life. I need to be on this.
So I want to ask you a question, Sifu Abdul Malik, because upstairs when you just came into the office, mashallah, you met the brothers, you met everyone. There's something that I said to you, and the way you responded to me causes me to ask this question.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning to ask you it, but it's basically that when I was speaking to you, I said, because often when people speak about their martial art, whether they do Muay Thai, Tae Kwon Do, Kung Fu, Karate, Wing Chun, they always act as if this martial art changed my life. And when I spoke to you, I said, you know, we want to speak about in the podcast about how Wing Chun changed your life, Islam changed your life. And the way you responded was, you said, Islam just like changed my life, as if to like just shed all of the light on Islam. Why did you respond like that upstairs?
It's very simple, really, right? Because And I had this question actually asked to me right before, right, but not just by people who are Muslim, right, even by when I've done articles, right, for martial art magazines and stuff like that. Because their notion is that martial arts is a way of life.
Your people need to understand like who you are, you know, in the first place. I mean, I'd advise people to read your bio, but like, you're a master in Wing Chun. You study, you've got like, you know, it works in terms of lineage. You've got like one of the most valued lineages you can have. Yip Man, his son, and then you. So that's not a joke, you know. That's not like some guy here in London who's learnt from like 3 people and then.
No.
So you saying that means a lot.
It's and don't get me wrong, the lineage in Wing Chun, it does mean something to me, you know, because you know it's your isnad, isn't it? You know, you got to know
it's your chain,
it's your chain going right back to the founder, you know. And I could quote, it's actually 10 generations. I could quote all the generation. However,
Islam
is the thing, and the reason why I say is because, like I said to one interviewer, right, Islam is a complete way of life, and Wing Chun's a tool, ultimately.
Okay,
you know what I mean. I don't look at kicking and punching as a way of life. It's a means to serve an end, right? It's a tool that I have acquired that I hope I don't have to use, you know. But alhamdulillah, if I have to use it, I will, you know what I mean. So that's how I look at it personally. Yes, there's a Wing Chun philosophy and all the rest of it, and alhamdulillah, I've been taught in a very traditional way, and that's what I pass on to my students. You know, there's benefits in that. But really, it was the Islam that is the change that changed me, because although, for example, even though I had the Wing Chun, right, the temper, right, and my students could tell you the temper didn't change. In the beginning, when I was teaching Wing Chun, I mean, my students would tell you, right, there's time if I wasn't happy how the class was going, I said, listen, everyone go home. So just go home now. And they're like, what do you mean, Steve? I said, listen, what do you mean, what do I mean? I mean, go home now. I don't like the way you're training. Your attitude, just get out of my face.
Wow.
Right, and I close the school and I send everyone home. I don't care where they came from. You know, but alhamdulillah, with Islam has given me ways of keeping, you know, the sort of like the temper under control, sort of thing. One way is the fasting. You know, so what it is, right, is that I'm under control in that way.
You know why I find that amazing? Because Islam as a way of life, it's a way of life that doesn't appeal to people. It doesn't claim to just rationally convince itself of the truth. Islam is the absolute truth. So the absolute truth should resonate with every single type of person. And we see this in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, a narration about him where, you know, he's walking through Mecca and he comes across a man who was a very famous wrestler at that time. So this wrestler, it's amazing how the Prophet ﷺ gave da'wah to him. The Prophet ﷺ challenged him. He challenged him. And this is like a known wrestler. This is like, you know, one of your like Mike Tyson's, or, you know, like obviously these are boxers, but like this is someone of that caliber kind of thing.
It's a beautiful hadith. I love it.
And the Prophet ﷺ challenges him and says, if I beat you, you become a Muslim. And we're going to come back, like I really want to zoom in on that. But like, long story short, the Prophet ﷺ puts him to the floor multiple times. And this man's like, what is going on? And then he gets up and he's like, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu annaka Muhammadan Rasulullah. Like, I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and that you are Allah's messenger.
Alhamdulillah.
Like,
absolutely.
And obviously I paraphrase the whole thing. But look at this man and look at what made him convinced that Islam is the truth. Because he's thinking, I'm a top wrestler, I know what I am. This man just comes and beats me. This man is not known for wrestling, he's not a wrestler. You have to be a prophet of God. And if the Prophet ﷺ came to him and said, look at the sun, look at this, look at that, maybe that's not going to appeal to him.
No.
But his sign, his ayah, sign was the Prophet ﷺ putting him to the floor. That was the Prophet ﷺ speaking his language to him.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing because you remind me of that, where Islam spoke that specific language to you, you know?
Absolutely. It did in a way, because like I said, the brother, right, was, you can call it Luqman, right, we was having a sort of like you know, a sort of like sparring, right, with, you know, with the deen, you know, you know, sort of thing. And in a way, I think what his Dawa did, although it just got me to think, listen, what if he's right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if he's right? And that is the thing what made me go off and do my own thing, right? And started researching after then. Alhamdulillah, then here I am to this day.
Allahu Akbar,
You know what I mean?
alhamdulillah. May Allah keep you firm. May Allah keep us all firm.
I mean,
So like continuing on the story.
yeah.
There's a very, very entertaining bit that I'm sure a lot of people want to hear about of your story. A very significant part of your story. I'm sure you'll agree as well. How do you meet Yip Man and end up becoming one of... sorry, Yip Man. Yip Man's son.
Yip Ching.
Yip Ching, his name is.
Yeah.
Yip Ching. How do you meet him and end up becoming one of his students?
Okay, right. Sometimes you got to sort of like, seize the moment, as they say.
Most
right?
definitely.
So the first time I was, I met him once before. Because after I learned some Cantonese, me and my Cantonese teacher then, Victor Apaya, we'd go to every Wing Chun seminar we could, just so that we can speak to the Chinese masters. I mean, who didn't speak any English, and we I shouldn't have done it, but we did it in a way sort of a little bit to sort of like, listen, that we can speak to them, show off a little bit. You guys can't. You guys need an interpreter.
Yeah. Like we're serious.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So I met Sifu Yip Chun first, my Yip Ching's older brother. I met him first, right? Many years before I met my Sifu, right? So, and then after Sifu came over in I think in '94, the first time did a seminar, and I was on the table. He was right the way down there, and I couldn't speak to him. I was like, oh, my opportunity's gone. Then one time I was doing a seminar in London with my students, and we went to Chinatown for something to eat afterwards, and it just happened that he turned up in that.
No way.
That same restaurant,
you must have been
right?
like, wow.
He was doing a seminar right in Croydon, and another very well-known Wing Chun Sifu by the name of Samuel Kwok brought him there for something to eat in Chinatown. And we was just leaving with my students, and then I know Samuel Kwok really well, and he said, hey Gary, come over, Sifu Yip Ching is here. Let me introduce you. So I'm like, okay,
let me get busy.
So I'm there, and I walk up there, and then Sifu's sitting down, and he's sitting down with Samuel Kwok's students, and obviously the only person who could speak to him is Samuel Kwok, because he's Chinese. And he said, Sifu, this is Garry McKenzie, so I'm Nehoma Sifu. As soon as he heard that, he jumped up. He was so happy to meet someone who could speak his language. Yeah. Other than Samuel Kwok, who was Chinese. So we had a little conversation, and the student was sitting there, and he said, you get up, you know what I mean? And I was sitting there, and we're speaking for a good 10 minutes or so. Then he invited me to come to Hong Kong. He said, have I been to Hong Kong before? I said, no, I've not been. I said, listen, you come to Hong Kong, you must look me up. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Right. So that night, I booked my flight to Hong Kong.
Wow.
Right? And a month later, I was in Hong Kong. Never been there before, and I stayed with a friend of a friend over there. And all my attitudes was like, I'm going to meet the GrandMaster. I'm going to go and meet Sifu Yip Ching, right? Then they sent some people to where I was staying. Yip Ching sent some people to where I'm staying. And I think, okay, this guy's going to take me to see the GrandMaster now. He's taken me to every other Wing Chun Sifu there is in Hong Kong. There's a road called Nathan Road. It's like the Oxford Street of Hong Kong. And so he's taken me there among these other Wing Chun schools. And I'm thinking, when am I going to meet Sifu Yip Ching? I'll come into Yip Ching.
Like,
and this was going on for a week. I was on there for 2 weeks. And I'm getting upset now. The tempo was going up again. I was saying, listen, I'm getting vexed, man. I've come all the way out here. I spent a lot of money to come here, and I'm not met the GrandMaster yet. And then about day 7,
So day 7, you haven't met him?
Day 7, I've not met him. I'm in Hong Kong for a whole week. I've not met him.
You're probably thinking,
I'm vexed,
have I been like scammed or something?
Proper upset, you know what I mean? And again, Islam hadn't come yet, so the temple was still there.
Ah, okay.
Right, so I'm thinking, listen, I'm going to smash man's up, man, you know what I mean? I'm not happy. Right, and then anyway, right, he said, listen, we're going to go meet Sifu now. I said, about time, man, you know what I mean? So I said, listen, let's go. So I met Sifu, and Sifu's sitting there, right, in the chair, in the Athletic Association in Hong Kong. He said, you're okay? And I said, frankly, Sifu, I'm not okay. I said, I've been here a week, and I've not, I come here to see you. I didn't come here to see anyone else. I come here specifically to see you. I don't care anyone else. I don't care about any other Sifu. I want to come and see you. He goes, I just want to make sure.
Wow.
That's why I sent you to everyone else. If I sent you to everyone else and you chose one of them as your Sifu, then that would have been fine.
That was a whole test.
It was a test for me to see, do I really want to study under him?
Or are you just like here to like mess
Yeah.
with anyone, Chinese
like
kind of,
many,
anyone Cantonese?
like many other people go to Hong Kong. They go there to meet the Sifus, take a photograph of them, and say,
And then
listen,
just-
look, I'm student of Sifu Yip Ching or Sifu so and so, and give themselves a name. He just wanted to check what I was about.
Mm.
So therefore, there's a Chinese saying which I will teach you.
Okay.
Sambating, kun bating means if your heart ain't straight, your fist won't be straight.
Mm.
So what he was doing, he was checking my heart.
SubhanAllah,
And
that's in line
my-
with Islam.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Am I really? What have I come out here for? Because for him, he doesn't care if I've spent that money to come there. You know, is my intention right?
Mm.
You know, they have another saying: "They di and home in batisam." You could know someone's front and back, but you won't know what's in their heart. So he wanted to really test to see what I'm about, because he wants to pass on something to somebody. He doesn't just want to just teach anybody. You know, he wants to pass on something that he, you know, that can, you know, maybe
Yeah.
pass on to the next generation. And then I start my training that week in Hong Kong, but it was a week of getting myself bashed up. You know, so I was in African Association for a week, and I thought, okay, I'm going to train with the GrandMaster now. But what happened is all of these students, because I knew Wing Chun already, they wanted to see what I'm about. So it was just getting bashed up for a whole week. And then Sifu said, okay, the next time you come, we'll start the lesson. I said, next time I come, Sifu, I don't want to train here.
Mm.
I want to train with you privately. I don't want to train here. Okay. So the next time I went back, and since then, all my training has been completely private in Sifu's home.
Wow.
In the home, actually, of Yip Man.
Wow.
Where Yip Man passed away.
SubhanAllah.
That actual house, where people's, there's a particular photograph, a video you see on YouTube where Yip Man's doing the, you know, the first and second form and the dummy set. That's where I trained, in that house.
Amazing.
That house, you know. So and
So
not
Bruce
many
Lee's
people.
probably been there, and all of these
Yeah,
people.
many
Yeah.
people, obviously, but not many Westerners have been there. You know what I mean? And
I'm sure he doesn't just let anyone into his house as well.
No,
you know?
no. And the good thing is, right, is that among I say probably I'm one of the many few sort of like Western students, right, who, well, probably the only one really, right, who studied under him, right, without an interpreter, because most of he's got other Western students as well, but they need an interpreter there, you know, to learn the Wing Chun. For me, I've had all my lessons, alhamdulillah, I could say
Direct. Authentic.
direct, and that's why I could say in London, alhamdulillah, I'm the only direct student of GrandMaster Sifu Yip Ching
Wow.
in London.
That's a big deal.
And probably of two in this country. Samuel Kwok is another one, and myself. Probably me and him are the only direct students of his, because everyone else, right, was them have to have an interpreter.
That's very serious. That's very big, because Wing Chun is like a worldwide martial art. There's movies, you know, being made about it, and it's like very famous. Obviously, made famous by like figures like Yip Man, Bruce Lee,
yeah,
and that's Allahu Akbar, Allahumma barik, you know. So you now, like, obviously we fast forwarding in the story, you're a Muslim now. You become a Muslim, you've trained up under Yip Ching.
Yeah.
You've got this kind of authentic kind of lineage with Yip Man. After you're a Muslim, one of the things that I found very, very inspirational, and I kind of want to end the podcast on this kind of topic.
Yeah.
One of the things I found very inspirational about you when I heard your story is how you became like this Dawa machine, if I can say it. Where like you're giving Dawa to you know, if I'm not mistaken, you even gave Dawa to Yip Man's son, right? Yip Ching. You like handed him a Quran in Cantonese and stuff like that. Allahu Akbar, it's a big deal. So what how was your experience giving Dawa to your family? After becoming Muslim, of course.
Well, the first thing is, right, is you have to let them know you're Muslim. Right?
Yes.
You know, so and at first it didn't really go down well, you know, because it didn't go down as bad as some people that I know. I mean, there's some people I know, right, you know, they've, you know, their families have disowned them, right? So alhamdulillah, my family never did that, you know, but they weren't happy because they're, you know, I had some friction. My dad at the time, right, his attitude was like, oh, you're going to become a terrorist now, you know, that's what it's all about. I said, no, they're not going to become a terrorist, you know what I mean? I promise you that, right? And then there's my uncle, right, who obviously they're part of the clergy, you know, and we'd have discussions, and it'd be like, you know, it'd be very derogatory. Because it'd be just like, oh, okay, so you're following that religion, right? You know, where your prophet is who? He, you know, he had how many wives, and how old was one of them, and stuff like this. You know, that sort of stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Right, but alhamdulillah, I stayed firm. Right, and what happened? I said, listen, I'm just going to do my thing. The main thing is, right, if I let it get to me, then alhamdulillah, I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with all of them now. You know, my mum loves me to pieces. Right? I'm probably her favourite son. Everyone, you know, tells me that. My uncle as well, right, the one who was very sort of like, you know, harsh. You know, what I mean, right. You know, I'm the only nephew that visits him. You know what I mean? His Muslim nephew, that he's the only visit him. You know, so my job, right, was to show them, you know, what a Muslim should be like to the best of my ability. Yes. You know what I mean? And to show that, listen, you know, it's not changed me, you know, as a person. It's just that I believe something different to you. But it's
made me better, if anything. I'm the only person visiting you. That's from Islam.
Absolutely. I mean, I would use that a lot with my mum, you know, because my mum's not yet Muslim. So I said, listen, so I say things like, you know, Mum, you know, so I have to do this because my religion teaches me that I have to, you know, do this to you. And not just because my religion teaches me, I want to do it as well. But I want to do it more so now because I know Allah's going to be pleased with me if I do this. He's going, oh, your religion teaches that? I said, yes, it's very similar to what you do, what your religion teaches, Mum, you know, so this is why I have to do this, you know. So I really, you know, push that side, and that's how it should be, you know. But then my sister, right, obviously, who is very staunch Christian, she, you know, she has a few problems with it, you know, but she won't even entertain the, you know, the discussion, right, because not because she thinks it's a bad discussion. Not because of that. I think it's because, right, it's like...
It's a bit intimidating, no?
No, it's not intimidating.
Like, in the sense where, like, she doesn't want to lose her faith kind of thing.
Yeah, what it is, right, people are afraid of change. She for her, when my sister is, I believe it is this, right, is that if she knows what this is all about, she will have to change. And people are afraid of change. So, ignorance is bliss. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what you know. Because if it's made you change, and I know... If I know that, then I might change, you know, and it means I have to lose all this, you know, my friends and stuff like this. They're gonna ask what happened to me. So her attitude is like, oh, you know, I'm praying for you. I said, listen, you know, you do what you want to do, but just come and talk to me. But she won't do it, you know, unfortunately.
Subhanallah. And specifically now, like you've spoken about a lot of people in your family. What about your father?
Alhamdulillah, this is the thing, right, which was a shock for me, is that well, I was very, very close to I was always very close to my father, very, very, very close, you know, and then he got very ill, you know, kidney failure, and then but I was always, you know, around that time, right, he started getting very interested in the religion, so he's asking me questions you know, and so, you know, I would talk to him about the religion every now and again, and this would go on for a while. And then he got very ill one time in you know, and then he was in hospital, and then you know, we was discussing with him, and then he said he wanted to become Muslim, you know.
Oh, cool.
I said, you sure, Dad? And he goes, yeah, I'm sure, you know. And after me, I say after me, repeat after me, and alhamdulillah became Muslim. 9 months later, he did pass away, alhamdulillah. But for me, just the honor of doing ghusl the body, right, and preparing his body and praying the janazah over him, you know, I just thank Allah for that, you know.
It's priceless.
And because obviously, as unless you're, you know, from a background of a convert Muslim, you know, you're always thinking to yourself, okay, what about my family? What about my brother? What about my sister? You know, I may get, you know, to Jannah, but, you know, are they destined? You know, so, but for me, right, you know, where there's life, there's hope. You know what I mean? And
most definitely.
So my job is to, as far as my family is concerned, they know what I am. They know I'm a Muslim. Is to the best of my ability, present, you know, myself as a good Muslim, and hopefully, that will, you know, trigger questions, and then hopefully one day a shahada.
Allahu Akbar. So it's amazing, subhanAllah. Sifu Abdul Malik, just like before we round up as well, a very important question I need to ask you to do with this is, there's a lot of reverts in this situation where, you know, the oldest from amongst them and the youngest from amongst them, where they're worried about their parents, they're worried about their family. You being someone who's actually, alhamdulillah, succeeded with your father, because that's success, that's a win, you know. What advice would you give to other reverts out there in their dealings with their family members and trying to give them dawah and bring them ultimately to Islam? What's the technique?
The thing I believe what you must do, right, is walk the walk. Number one, right? Because if you're not even on what you're calling people to, you know, then why should they follow you? You know what I mean? If I've always heard this one a lot of time. You even hear it even with Christian. You call yourself a Christian. You call yourself a Muslim. Yeah. If you're gonna be a believer, you have to behave a certain way. You have to roll a certain way. You know, you have to carry yourself a certain way. Otherwise, you could tell them all day long, right? Listen, look, you know, you need to become a Muslim. You need to do this. You need to do this. But what is it doing for your life? You know what I mean? How has it made you a better person? People want to see practical things. You know, I look when it comes to the dawah, right, even to parents or even to anyone, right, I take it a bit like my Wing Chun, right. I followed my to learn Wing Chun with my Sifu, right, not because he had Wing Chun, it's because of who he was. If he wasn't a righteous person, I don't care what Wing Chun he had, I'm not going to learn it from him. I'm just not going to, because I don't like your attitude. You know what I mean? So you could call yourself a Muslim all day long, you know, and I've seen this sometimes with some revert converts. You know, they'll be, you know, they've become a Muslim now, and all of a sudden, right, they're treating their parents like the plague. You know, they won't eat around their parents' house. You know, they won't drink anything. They won't touch anything. You know, they just go all weird all of a sudden. You don't have to go weird. You know, you believe in the one true God, and that's it. But just be you, be the same person, be a good son, you know, and then that might make them move more to ask questions about your religion, you know, and don't try to ram it down, you know, their throats. You know,
if you were like that, like the example you just gave of how some reverts are, do you think your father would have come to Islam?
No way. Not that man. Again, you got to know who you're dealing with. My dad, people say me and my dad, we've got very much the same kind of character. My dad is a fighter, right? And when I did come that way before, right, that's when, you know, he got defensive, right? And it's like, oh, so you're going to become a terrorist sort of thing, you know. But when you just come correct, you know, with good manners, good attitude on yourself, right, that attracts people, you know what I mean? And that's what did it for, I think that's what did it really for me and with my father, really. And even for those, right, who don't become Muslim, you know, I pray that they do, at least you'll have an ally there. That at least they will say, listen, look, I actually know a Muslim, you know, we got a Muslim in our family, alhamdulillah, and he's not like the Muslim that you talk about, you know what I mean? It's all about how you roll, really, I believe. Yeah, subhanallah.
So I also another thing that I found very inspirational is, so when you came to when we had the event together, you came with a few of your students who are also themselves very highly qualified as well in Wing Chun.
Yes.
And they've opened up their own school. Some of them teach as well. So one of the things, like, there was a brother with you who was a Chinese brother.
Yeah.
His name was Dawud.
Dawud, yeah.
Dawud, yeah. So he's one of your students as well, mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And obviously his name being Dawud, he's Chinese. Yeah. He's clearly a revert, right?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Another brother who I didn't think was Muslim. I didn't actually, honestly, like, I didn't think he was Muslim.
Yeah.
But you actually mentioned in the talk, this brother's a Muslim as well.
That's James.
There's
James.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, subhanAllah, Sifu Abdul Malik's like rolling around with these guys, and like he's like changed all of them.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, Allahumma barik. So like, is it the same technique that you use with them? Because with your students, it's a little bit different now. You know, I guess, like, it's not like your family members where you're only getting them for a certain time. They also, their mentality with you. Yeah. Like, majority of people, when they go to learn a martial art, that's it. They're not here for like life advice. No. They're not here for religion. They're here to learn Wing Chun.
Yeah.
So how do you get through to so many trainers, make them Muslims, and like, it's amazing.
Alhamdulillah. Number one is obviously it's all from Allah,
Of
everything's
course.
all from Allah at the end of the day. I'm nothing, alhamdulillah. However, with Dawood, alhamdulillah, he was already a Muslim when he came to the school. He was already a Muslim, alhamdulillah. But James, what it is with James, and this is what I'm saying, it's all about, alhamdulillah, I'm not picking myself, but it's all about how you roll. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you roll a certain way, you'll inspire people. Now with James, James came to the school, alhamdulillah, not believing in anything, not believing in anything at all. But with him, he's very regular at the school, and also does security with some other students of mine, right, who are Muslim, right? So he's around a lot of Muslims, and he's seen the Muslims and how we do things, and he just got attracted to it. Yeah. And then what happened with him, right, was that one time during one Ramadan, 2 years ago, in fact, he just said, Sifu, I think I'm going to fast during the month of Ramadan. I said, you can do it, you can do it. Fast with us, So he did the fasting. After he did the month of Ramadan, he says, Sifu, I want to do the next 6 days as well.
Wow.
I said, you want to do that? He said, yeah. So he did the 6 days as well, sure. I said, okay then. After that, he said, Sifu, I want to do Shahada. I said, you sure? I said, yeah, we did Shahada. And alhamdulillah, became Muslim. So really, I'm not really doing anything. It's just that he's just seeing how we roll. And the reason why I say that is because I have another student of mine who is not Muslim, right? And I mean, he's one of our instructors. And with all of my students, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim, we're very, very close. We shake hands, and even we embrace. I even embrace the non-Muslim students. We embrace goodbye, and we embrace, right? And in this particular student, he saw me embrace the Muslims, and he says, I don't know what it is with you Muslims, but you got something there, I don't know what it is. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you embrace them. And I said, but I embrace you, don't I? He goes, but Sifu's not the same. It's not the same, man. So he can see that we got something there. He says, you got something, I don't know what it is. I said, come then, come. Come. So what it is, the invitation is like, I just have an open door, and come if you want. It seems
very natural, like, pushing people, and like, seems like, if you want, if you want, kind of thing.
There's no need to push, and as we said, Allah said in the Quran, there's no compulsion in the deen. There's no need to push anything. If when you look at Islam, I think personally done properly, what did it for me, right? Like I said, it was the brother, right? It's like he believes what he believes so much. What if I'm wrong? He's on it so much. What if I'm wrong with it is right? So that's the compelling thing. It's how you move, how you roll, how you flex yourself, right? And that is what brings people. You can give ear all day long, but if you ain't rolling right, people will say, listen, look, no, your body language tells me that you're not on what you're calling me to. Leave it there.
It's deep, subhanAllah. And like, one last thing.
Yeah.
Is this is the last thing I want to do. It's like on the spot kind of thing.
Oh my word.
Thing, yeah. Is what would you do like in this current position if I just went like that?
You know what? I was gonna say I'd take the milk up and smack you on the head, but when it comes to that sort of thing, you got me there. You got me. You got me. No. What it is, when it comes to Wing Chun, I'm not gonna do something pretty like a nice tan cell and stuff like this. When it comes
to
like,
if I actually, what's the thing you would do here?
Well, that little small fist. I don't know what it can do to me.
There's a saying, the rock, the pebble that you believe won't do you damage is the one that will kill you.
Alhamdulillah. Well, that could be what it is.
I'm not saying that about you, by the way. Obviously, I'm not saying that about you.
Well, Wing Chun way is this, right? Is if you try to hit me, you have to get hit. That's how Wing Chun way is. Because the incentive to stop someone is pain. Right? If I punch you and I block you, you're only going to try again. So I say, I have to miss the pain straight away. But I want to miss it to you. You're lovely, brother. Mashallah.
No, likewise. May Allah bless you. Sifu Abdul Malik, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Pleasure's mine.
May Allah bless you. And inshallah, in the future, it would be very, very nice to actually get you down again and do more topic-based stuff, inshallah. We can speak about specific subject and get your thoughts on it. I think you've got a lot of wisdom to share with us, inshallah, that you've learnt along your journey. May Allah bless you. Barakallah feekum. And brothers and sisters, on that note, that has been Sifu Abdul Malik ReRooted episode with our beloved brother Sifu Abdul Malik. Make sure, inshallah, you listen to the podcast on the major podcast platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And until the next one, we'll see you very, very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace.